Hey, welcome back to Evil's Comics. I'm Evil Mike, and I got a review for you today. From Marvel Comics, we're going to be talking about Guardians of the Galaxy, issue number 1. It is written by Collin, Kelly, and Jackson Lanzing, art by Kev Walker, colors by Matt Hollingsworth, and letters by VC's Cory, Petit. And then we got this dope cover by Marco Checchetto, I think is how you pronounce it. I'm sorry if I mispronounce any of those names. It's no disrespect, I'm just bad with names. Before we get started on this review, please like, comment, subscribe on this guy's channel. It does help a lot. You never know when I'm going to be dropping reviews, so if you're so inclined, hit the bell, you know. So let's get started, right? This was a heavily requested book. I think altogether I had like 10 different requests on Guardians of the Galaxy, so here we are, and I'm going to talk about it. I'll get into my thoughts at the end like normal, which are usually very few. I don't know. Okay, so we start out the book, and it's basically like Star-Lord talking to himself, and they're getting to this planet. It kind of shows you a little bit of the planet while Star-Lord's talking to himself, but he's basically like, the sum of the conversation is like, you know, wherever they go, kind of destruction follows kind of thing. If you know anything about the Guardians of the Galaxy, it has not changed. They're kind of like a half win, half lose kind of group. I wouldn't necessarily say they fail all the time, but they don't exactly win either. So we do get our first images of Star-Lord. Of course, they are all in this new aesthetic shown on the front cover. They're doing this Western vibe. That's the whole reason I got into it. That and the whole event that they're doing, but we'll get there. So basically, it's Star-Lord coming in. We have this dope spread of all the people associated with the comic. But it sets up where they are, and it's basically this planet called Solitude. There is a faction here called the Fold. The planet is supposed to be like on the farthest outreaches of like all known space or something like that. But the Fold is supposed to be a place where, like, if you need to escape, you can go there and live your life or something like that. Besides him talking to himself, Star-Lord kind of has very little dialogue in the beginning. Of course, he's by himself, but he's not really. He has his team in his ear kind of thing. But they're basically setting up that they are here to save these people. And right off the bat, just off of like who they are, they do get like people that recognize them right off the bat, asking them if they are really Guardians of the Galaxy. You learn quickly that they've been missing for like a year due to some events that they haven't fully gone into yet. While he's kind of getting like fanboyed by like a regular citizen, a sheriff of this town kind of shows up. Kind of mentions that he knows of the Guardians of the Galaxy, that you know, he needs to get the hell out of here, or he needs to go to jail and stand for crimes that they don't even mention. But basically, he needs to leave the town. Before that can even get, I mean, like before Star-Lord could even, you know, say whether they're going to leave or not. They're not going to leave. They're trying to save everybody. They're trying to evacuate the planet from some unknown, you know, catalytic thing that's coming. But all of a sudden, the sheriff dies before, you know, Star-Lord can kind of get going. It's Gamora. She basically had enough of that guy's talk, saw where it was kind of going because he had his guns cocked at Star-Lord, and she ends up killing him. Basically, you know, that guy was like halting up their progress. At this point in the book, we kind of catch up with everybody else minus one, but we see Nebula. Nebula's like busy, and she's working on like the outer rim of the town, trying to, you know, secure that part of it. We have Mantis, and she's in town. She's in this like, I don't know how you say it's a persona, like this rock icon persona. But of course, Mantis has that power where she can convince you, like with you know, through your feelings and emotions, you know. And she's trying to like get everybody in like good moods because something really bad is coming. They've mentioned it at this point in the book like 3 or 4 times. But after checking in with Mantis, Star-Lord is quickly greeted by the mass majority of the Fold. It's basically this, like, he's supposed to be a bad guy, but nobody really is bad or good here, because it's supposed to be like this escape place or whatever. But basically they're stating the same thing that the sheriff did, like, that they know who the Guardians are, that they're not welcome, kind of thing. At this point, Star-Lord has finally, had enough. He's literally trying to save these people. He's getting stopped in every form and fashion, due to their, spotty past or whatever. And Star-Lord finally gives the final go, and he's like, look, all right, bye. And basically he gives the team to, basically get rid of all these guys, which happens in a badass fashion. The Guardians of the Galaxies that we see here, Star-Lord, Gamora, Nebula, and Mantis, they commence to not only killing all these guys, but just leveling the playing field. During this commotion, there is this one guy who kind of mentions something, and before he's killed, he mentions that they're not going to get past this mount, that they might get past, that they might deal with them and everything, but there is some kind of special, but it's like briefly mentioned, and the Guardians pay no mind to it. After they've dealt with the kind of like thief crew or whatever, they continue to try and save people. They start, and the vast majority of people are these guys, but they start evacuating him. Nebula, like in the background, has kind of mentioned that the event is coming. After they load everybody up, they load everybody in these like containers. It's 2 different containers that they load onto their ship. Once they get in, there's kind of a commotion there too. They don't want to really be in the containers, but before they can get going, we find out what the mount is, and it's this huge walker that some guys, powering or whatever, and it's supposedly defending the town. And that's where we finally, see the last member. We see Drax just jump in, and he basically just takes this thing out in one move. He basically topples it over. And now that the majority of the Guardians are there, we're only missing one member, and it's kind of, if you know anything about this comic, it's preluding to that last member. That's kind of why I jumped on board. So now we're getting to the evacuation. They're finally getting ready to take off. They know they have like minutes before the event happens, and they really don't have the time. And that's finally when we get this badass, like, I don't know, this picture of what is going on, but it's called Grootfall, and Grootfall is this mass extinction level thing. Supposedly it was falling from space, heading towards this planet. As soon as it gets here, it starts, like, I would say, assimilating the planet. And they kind of show you, but the Guardians try and take off. They do this mass hurry thing, because as soon as Grootfall hits the planet, it just basically covers it up in fire, ash, and vines, which they show here. But during the evacuation, Grootfall's vines actually manages to catch one of the containers. They did have 2. The container gets detached. It looks like the second container is going to get detached as well. Drax eventually has to hop out there, and he has to like hold the container together from falling off the ship. They do this final check to see if everybody, because they're inside the ship, but that's kind of when they reveal that they lost the first container full of people, but they were able to, successfully, they got the first container with the people inside it. But on top of that, they kind of show you a brief, Mantis gets to see what happens to people that are caught in the Grootfall. And like I said, it's kind of like this assimilation thing. They show like one of the alien citizens, and he's being like assimilated, basically turned into more roots, it looks like. And they show kind of Grootfall or Groot, or I don't know, what he is, how he is like this. But basically at the end of it, they do show that the Guardians make it out, and that planet is basically done. It's dead. All the people that weren't able to evacuate, they're gone, assimilated, turned into like parts of Grootfall. But that is where the book leaves us off. It's kind of like I mentioned in the beginning, it's a half win, half loss kind of thing, and that's kind of what the Guardians are known for. I want to assume if they didn't, get caught up so much like they did, they would have been able to evacuate everybody, but it's kind of what you expect. There is a preview to the next cover, this dope looking cover of Gamora, and there's a little paragraph of what to come. The Guardians are caught in the middle of a civil war. Will they be able to stop it, or was it already lost from the start? Rootfall is coming, and it does not take sides. And that's kind of where they leave us off at. That is my review on Guardians of the Galaxy. So here are my thoughts. I loved it. The art, the story, everything. It was exactly what I wanted. I heard a little bit about the event, Grootfall. I did not know what to expect. I did see like a little picture, but nothing really that explained anything. But after getting into the comic and like getting into the story, I love the way they set it up, where it was just like not known for the beginning of the story. It was just like this event was coming, and finally when they showed it, it was this like really cool thing that they were finally preluding at. And it wasn't some drawn out thing like where we had to go issues before we actually got to see what Grootfall was or what he was capable of. I will say I don't understand why Groot is like this. I'm assuming it happened during the last Guardians of the Galaxy run, which I did not read. I haven't read Guardians of the Galaxy for like 4 or 5 years. But this was fantastic. The art, there was some Guardians of the Galaxy comedy in it. I wouldn't say it was like laugh out loud or anything, but it did make me like, a couple different times. I really liked when Star-Lord finally like allowed the Guardians to unleash on those criminals, and he was like, look, we've had enough. All right, bye. But that's my review. These are my thoughts. I'm really looking forward to it. It is added to my list, my subscription box. I will be picking up issue 2. But let me know down below what you thought. I will say I did like the look of everybody, but I was kind of disappointed that it wasn't like a full-on Western, but what did I expect kind of thing. But hey, these are my thoughts. Let me know down below what you thought. Did you like this? Did you pass it up? Are you just here for the review? Let me know. But that's my review, guys. I'll let you go. Have a happy Saturday. All right.